Hi, I'm Greg Berkin. I'm a filmmaker and director, and I've been working on a historic documentary film about the Monterey, Pebble Beach area. And it's all about the early road races, which took place in the 50s through about 1956 on what's now known as 17 Mile Drive. A lot of folks don't realize that very famous race car drivers used to drive through the woods at almost 100 miles an hour, creating quite a sensation back in the 50s. And it spawned the greatest car event in the world, the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, as well as eventually Laguna Seca, which began in 1957. The Pebble Beach road races were known worldwide as a place to be able to compete, bring some very powerful sports cars. It was the dawn of early racing on the West Coast. Let's take a little ride for a moment and imagine you're back in the 50s racing through the woods of 17 Mile Drive with a fantastic sports car, a Ferrari or an Alfa or a Jaguar, and with the likes of Phil Hill and Carroll Shelby and many of the greats who started their careers here in Monterey, the Pebble Beach Road Races, it was known as. It was the most fantastic experience because the only thing that separated the patrons from the track, which was a dirt road, was a little tiny rope that separated these folks going 100 plus miles an hour through the woods of Pebble Beach. And it started in 1950 and only lasted a few years till 1956, but each year more and more spectators. The first year was about 15,000 spectators, the next was 35,000, and I think it even exceeded 50,000 people at its greatest moment in 1956. And unfortunately, the Pebble Beach road races ended in 1956 because Ernie McAfee hit a tree driving a vintage Ferrari and was killed. And the next year, Laguna Seca started in 1957, and that has also spawned the careers of many of the great drivers and is still today pretty much the same track that began in 1957. So you're seeing the dawn of early racing here in Pebble Beach in Monterey, and it is quite something to experience at Laguna Seca. Most of the world looks to the Pebble Beach and Monterey area for a standard of excellence, and it's a show that takes place every August called the Concours d'Elegance, meaning in French, competition of excellence. It's really regarded as one of the greatest car shows in the world because of the special nature of who comes, who shows cars, the collectors that share their collections that particular week or day. The Concours d'Elegance is actually just one day on Sunday, but there are events that happen that entire week leading up to Sunday where the greatest cars in the world compete for trophies on the lawn at the Pebble Beach Lodge to get recognized for their special nature. Some are in classes of originality, some are in classes of best of show, but it is quite a show that folks look forward to every year, and it has set the standard of excellence that every other car show looks to. So if you get a chance, come to the Concours d'Elegance in August. It's really quite something to experience. So we're working on an exhibit of preservation, which is the new trend in car collecting, to keep a car unrestored and to protect and preserve the patina, the characteristics of the original car from the period that it began. And in this case, we're going to show some original cars that have been untouched for some time. The Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance has recently recognized the preservation class by adding a new class at Pebble for pre-war cars in 2001 and post-war cars in 2007 to recognize the characteristics and the special nature of cars that are untouched, unrestored, and preserved for future generations. A car can only be original once, and once it's restored and changed, the character changes quite a bit. And so it's important to keep cars original and in their unrestored condition. This is a preservation exhibit where you will see examples of cars, of collectibles, and cinema films that are well preserved. An example is a film by Roger Corman from 1954 called The Fast and the Furious, an original film that was shot on the lawn at Pebble Beach in the Pebble Beach road races and is now part of racing history. That's a great example of one of the films that took place in this area. We'll also be featuring an original car from the film Back to the Future 3, which has never really been seen by the public. It's a car that's one of 7 cars that were in the movie, and it is owned by a private collector, and he's sharing it with the museum that week. So it's going to be a very fun time. So come and join us.